Lilies, historic Run for the Lilies. This is a big one, folks, 150 years. And to mark this anniversary, the Courier Journal has a very special release.
And we have a special guest with us. He's the amazing Michael Clevenger, I call him, director of photography. You know, the Courier just put out an edition like this year, and you see this was Justified. This is a Michael picture, is this correct?
That is myself and Christopher Granger, so it's one of my helpers.
So, you know, the Sunday paper, you always run to see it. You're putting out a new book about the history of the finishes, and you've got 10 photos to show us. Tell us about number one we're going to show here.
Sure. And what I love about the fact that we have these images in our archive, we're going to present these to people who purchased the book, and even online right now, is the fact that the Courier Journal was 5 years old before the first Derby ran.
This was 1929, right?
Right. This is out of our archive, and we don't have a lot of things before 1933 because of the 37 flood wiped out a bunch of those. But we have, starting with this, one of these rare images that comes back. I love this photograph because it really just kind of shows a sense of time and place, and how big it was even in those early years.
Now, you selected the photos for us. I love the photo album. Number two here goes to some of the early celebrities, and for some folks, I hope you recognize the man in the middle. That's Bob Hope.
Yeah, isn't that great? Because it's not only the access that we had to celebrities, not only who we have in our archive, but the fact that we're able to show this, but the proximity, the way that we were able to show and be as close to Bob Hope as we are in that image. It also goes to, and you look back in the archive, how how accessible people were and how much of an everyman's sport this was and an everyman event this was. I love having Bob Hope in this photograph. I love the photographer hanging over the rail. That's one of my personal favorites just because I like the way that photographer's getting after it.
Photo number three here, 1972. It's a classic from the infield, and man, they are packed in there for this one.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Because again, going back to the roots of this and how it felt, going through the archives, one of the things you find, some of the things you put in the book, are just how accessible everything felt, how crowded it was, how it felt like everybody could be here, and everybody looked like they were here on Derby and Oaks Day. So I love having this packed infield photo, people as far as you can see, and I love having that feel.
These photos from the Courier Journal, again, if you're just joining us. Let's go to 1949. Louisville was still a very segregated town. It was starting to change a little bit, but this photograph says it all in 1949. Michael, yeah, I know you personally selected this one.
Yeah, as we went through Pat McDonough curated so many of these photographs for us before he retired from the paper, and this is one of the 1,000 he had. But I love this image because it just shows everybody's desire to be part of the event, even if it meant going up on a rooftop and hanging on a fence line. It has, again, the accessibility, but also the interest. Also, everybody felt like they could be there and being together at one time. And I love the fact that they're just doing the best they can to get the best view of the race that they possibly can at no cost.
I love that. Okay, jumping ahead now to 1980. It's another from the infield. And Michael, this is the one when I hear people tell stories about the good old days, this is what's coming to mind.
Well, you know, people talk about the Kentucky Derby, and it's a 2-minute horse race, but it's really a 2-week party. It's a 2-week party in the community followed by a 2-minute horse race. And I love the fact that this picture encapsulates this completely. It's a party. It's a party in the infield. It's a party in Louisville. The atmosphere is festive the entire time. And this photograph was duplicated, I don't know how many times we saw people in the air, people climbing flagpoles.
Let's pick up the next one, the great Secretariat. Of course, we just honored 50 years of Secretariat last year, since his win.
Yeah, this photograph from Tom Harden. He's the director of photography when I was just coming up in the industry, and this is a wonderful. This is from what they call a wide lux camera, and visually speaking, there's so many wonderful aspects of this image because every line leads you into the future. Every line takes you to greatness. Every line takes you to destiny. Yes, and it also shows how close people could get. Again, going back to that everyman's event. I love the fact that Tom thought about this photo and framed it up. And I took a friend who was helping him at the event and helping him fire that there in the center.
That's the man against the rail pushing a button to trigger the camera.
Right, correct. It was assistant all day that day. But look at Sham and Secretariat. That's a neck-and-neck battle. And we didn't know at that moment, the moment this photo was captured, how great that horse would be.
we of course would come to learn there are a lot of fantastic photos of Secretariat, but you picked another one here that we think is just fantastic.
Yeah, this photo is by Rich Nugent, and it's phenomenal. I love the way Rich drug the shutter on this a little bit, panned with Secretariat, because there's never been a horse that's been as fast as Secretariat on this racetrack, and Rich's photo perfectly encapsulates that. The way he used the style of moving the shutter across there nails that image.
Another one you have here, a fighting finish.
Yeah, you know, the fighting finish for me is the quintessential racing photograph. It's hard to get any better than this picture. In fact, I would say the fighting finish is arguably one of the best racing photographs or sports photographs of all time. This is head play and broker's tip coming down to the line. Courier Journal photographer Wallace Lowry got Herb Fisher and Don Mead locked in mortal hand-to-hand combat coming onto the wire, and everything about this image tells a story. It's telling a story, and
it's
this
now a
image is
trademark.
great.
It's now a trademark.
Yeah,
really.
It really is. And this is the most requested reprinted image in the history of the Courier Journal.
Jumping ahead, 2016, if we're not mistaken, this Derby photo is one of yours.
Yes, this is one of my favorites. So now I think about Wallace Lowry all the time. Where would Wallace like to have a camera today if he was on the track? And so I have multiple cameras along the front stretch, and I just love the way that this kind of feels. And one of the great things about getting a credential and being part of the crew that gets to cover is I get to take people on a part of the track they don't get to go to. So you can't buy access to where I'm at yet.
Let's go to another Derby photo real quick here. Michael, as you guys will, I guess, be thinking about your camera positions for Derby 150, it's going to be an amazing photograph to get this year.
So this is going into the first turn, and what is, we always try to have the camera located so it shows a sense of place and time. And one of the things that you would probably want to know about this image is there are very few people in the stands. This is Kentucky Derby 2020, September.
I should have seen the clue.
Yeah. So it's wonderful because it also just has an emptiness behind it, and there's hardly any people in the stands. But it also brings you in.
So let's talk about the book. We've got the cover of what's going to come out. Interesting, Shay. They're not going to publish it until they get the photograph tomorrow night, after 6:57 p.m.
That's right, and the book is available at courierjournal.com. And you can go in there and order it now. And it's full of our heritage, our history archive. We used some with the Kentucky Derby Museum, but it really tells a rich history, a lot in photographs of this event that has made Louisville a standout place in the U.S. and in the sporting world.
Well, Michael, you're just fantastic. I've got to say, for those at home that don't get to see this, he's covered in mud from the knee down. It's already been a busy day for him working on capturing these fantastic moments today.
And I know we're in the digital world, but I still like going out on the Sunday after the Derby and trying to get a real newsprint. And I think Derby 150 will be one of those collector's items.
Yeah, I think it will too. And if we can just get the weather back to where we need it, I think it'll be fantastic.
All right. Michael Clevenger, can't wait for your team's amazing photograph for Derby 150. I know there's a lot of stress and pressure on you.
Well, thank you very much. This team is one of the best, if not the best, and can't do it without all of them.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, Michael.